Hello, I hope you are all doing very well. I am Josue Brenes, part of the ACTA team, and I will be explaining and showing you what we developed in tranche number 2 of the Stellar Community Fund. Basically, what we developed was an SDK and also an API where the data will be created and where that data can be resolved, where the data document will be seen, who is, let's say, the owner of that data, etc., etc. So, to not prolong this further, I will first show you how it would look in an interface for a user to create the data. In this case, we will do it in the ACTA app. For a user to create their deal, they will need to enter here and click on Create Deal. Here we are using the SDK we created in this tranche with the contract we created in tranche number 1. Here we do the signing and wait a moment for it to be signed, and the DID would be created. While the transaction is loading, I will show you the following. Here we can see how the DID was created. This is the DID that belongs to this user, and we can also see several things. We can say the authentication, the multi-key, the public key, and its controller. As I mentioned, here is the owner and how it is associated with this. This would be on the part of the SDK. Now then, how do we resolve this? This is where the API we created for the Stellar DID comes in, which is to resolve it to be able to see what this DID contains underneath, basically. So if we paste the data here and we click on resolve, we will be able to see it resolved. What can we see here? We can see the DID, we can see the method, the specific ID, a method, and also the verification methods. In this case, we are using A25519 verification K 2020. Here we can see its ID, its controller, and its public multi-key. Its public key multi-base. And to show you, this is how the transaction would look in Stellar. Here you can see practically everything we are looking at here, but this is what is recorded in the contract. Basically, it is the DID document, but in Stellar.
Okay.
In addition to this, I am going to show you how the DID document would look in Postman. This is the API that we created to be able to do the DID, the resolver, etc., etc. We have its first endpoint, which is to see in what state the API is. Let's say if it is alive or not, you could say. We have the DID resolver, which is to resolve the DID, as I previously mentioned. If we copy this DID and paste it here, we click send, we can see its DID document. What does this DID document contain? It brings its context, its ID verification, verification method, authentication, the DID document metadata, which includes its version, whether it is deactivated, the method, which in this case would be the testnet network, and who it belongs to, practically who owns that DID, and the DID resolution metadata. In addition to this, we can see how the DID would look without being standardized to W3C, which in this case would look like this. And here is how it is standardized and is now valid before W3C. We also have an endpoint to update the DID if we want to transfer that DID to someone, if we want to deactivate this DID. This, by the way, this endpoint is irreversible. Once deactivated, that DID can no longer be reactivated. That DID becomes obsolete. And the last one, to sign the transaction sent through the SDK to the API. And finally, also in the API we created, which in this case would be the .acta build. We made a compeses de como la Swagger. It is basically what we see in Postman, but on the web. Here you can come and test all the API endpoints. Everything is on the testnet. So you can come here to experiment. You can basically see how the DID works.